Our group is going over disability rights and accessibility in the digital age.
Digital content has become necessary for day-to-day life, like entertainment, job opportunities, and small social connections. The digital equity and inclusion strategies for Libraries Journal greatly emphasizes the importance of digital accessibility in our modern times by saying, student success in higher education depends on access to digital resources and services. Sadly, it is not always accessible, limiting thousands of people when it comes to reaching these opportunities.
The unemployment rate within the disabled community is noticeably higher than the non-disabled unemployment rate. This is clearly shown by a statistic of the 2024 youth unemployment rate, where 23.9% of disabled people ages 16 through 19 are unemployed and are nearly double the amount of non-disabled people, that being 12.3%, which is again reciprocated through ages 20 through 24, shown here.
This bar graph represents the percentage of websites that were compliant, partly compliant, or not compliant at all, according to the latest web accessibility standards from a study of over 63,000 websites. As you can see, the percentage of compliant websites is a pittance, being less than 4% compared to an astounding 88% of non-compliant websites.
Adina Mulligan, an assistant professor and librarian at the City University of New York, dives deeply into this topic with her study of 18 blind students who use academic libraries. She presents examples of students asking for assistance from librarians, staff, or other people, which is often embarrassing for the student. One student described a library's website as a, quote, black hole, unquote, saying he emphasized that it took a very long time to go through the website, and that a normal sighted student could probably do so in half the time it takes him.
For our first solution, we could create legislations or policies. This can ensure that digital accessibility becomes a priority instead of an afterthought, because a website that does not meet accessibility standards should be fined or punished in some way. It would also give companies a standard to meet, letting them know what is needed directly rather than trying to make things accessible blindly. This supports the goal of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, a federal civil rights law created to protect equal access and opportunities for people with disabilities, which is to assure equality of opportunity, full participation, independent living, and economic self-sufficiency to persons with disabilities. By creating stronger legislation, we could push long-term change, since laws are typically long-lived and not very easily affected or changed. However, there are negatives to this as well, as this could be very hard to enforce due to the sheer amount of digital content. The enforcement would also cost a large expense due to the extensive amounts of funded resources needed to enforce it. The standards would likely be expensive to reach, making it probable for a backlash to rise.
And then for the second solution, we can make incentives for web accessibility. This means offering rewards, recognition, or financial benefits to companies, institutions, and individuals if they decide to make their content accessible by meeting a set of standards. The ultimate goal of this is to motivate the creation of digital content. Positives: encourages the integration of web accessibility and digital content because of the possibility of personal gain. Financial incentives would help small businesses integrate accessibility without or with less of the financial burden of integration accessibility. Negatives: possibility for little compliance, especially from bigger and richer groups who don't need any extra assistance. May be costly to reward all of the groups who participate by following accessibility standards, because there could be a very large group of people who decide to integrate digital accessibility.
Solution number 3. Create public awareness campaigns to educate the public, institutions, and companies of the importance of digital accessibility. We could do this with social media, ads, or just talking about the issue more often. The ultimate goal of this solution is to shift opinions on digital accessibility, and for people to eventually think of digital accessibility as the norm. The positives. Cultural change. If more people talk about the good that comes from digital accessibility, the more people will prioritize digital accessibility, which will eventually pressure institutions, companies to make more digital accessible content. Another positive is that it's easier to make legislation or policies. If more people support a cause, the more legislators will want to make laws that will help make digital content accessible. The negatives are that it's not a big immediate impact. It's just word of mouth. There's nothing forcing companies to do it other than customers' wants. So they may not see it as necessary to do it. Another negative is that short-term attention. Trends die fast. Many people don't care about something for very long, as they only care about it if it pops up. Another one may be low engagement. People may not integrate digital accessible content into their things because they don't see a benefit from doing so. There's nothing stopping them from not doing so, and there's no benefit of doing it other for the big cost. And a quote that would support the not a big immediate impact would be from Dr. Peter Radimliev. He said that the review reveals that despite the proliferation of projects, the inclusion of physically disabled individuals remains distant, with limited standards and regulations in place. And these are our sources.